Chef Kas coming to you live from the future of awesomeness. Today, we're gonna make some tasty beverages, something you probably never tried before, some interesting combinations that maybe you didn't think, how would these things go together, but it's not a reason not to do it. So we're gonna be putting together a chocolate, coconut, green tea. Now let me show you how to do this. So we've got our water ready on the stove, as you would do for any other tea. You're going to heat that up, get that water hot. And we're going to be using a different type of tea today. It's a loose tea, and you may be familiar with loose teas. Loose teas might not be something new to you, but if they are, then tea is basically from a tea plant that's crushed up and put inside a bag usually. And we steep that bag and we release all of the things that the tea gives us when steeped in water. So a loose tea is just the same thing, not in a bag form. So you can choose the amount that you are going to steep. And this tea, you can see inside. Let me read to you some of the ingredients in this Nuwadi Herbals Warrior Tea. And it says your antioxidant shield. I like that. So ingredients: green tea, blueberries, chickweed, cranberry, lemon peel, goji berries, mangosteen, noni fruit powder, rooibos, wheatgrass, bilberry fruit, cherries, ginkgo, orange peel, pau d'arco, pineapple, faux tea, grapeseed extract powder, pomegranate, tomato flakes, lime peel, stevia, and of course, last but not least, uva ursi. So I got this tea a while back, just thought I'd try it. It's not too expensive, about $16, but it's lasted quite a while. I mean, it's $16 that lasts you maybe 3 or 4 months. So well worth it when you need it. So when my water's hot, and you know, there is a tea at temperature at which you're going to burn tea. To be honest, I'm not sure what that is. So maybe I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't tell you that, or maybe we should find out the answer. Hit Chef Kas up on Twitter, @ChefKas, to get the answer to the mystery question. So I'm going to sprinkle some of this tea in here, and again, how much you want is up to you, how strong you want your tea to be. We're going to brew about 3 or 4 cups right now. And of course, the amount you put in is going to be a relative to the amount of water that you have in your pot, in your cup. You don't need to do this on the stove. You can do this with just some hot water. But keep in mind, most labels do give you instructions. So this one does say 1 tablespoon in a tea ball, or you can steep it like this. It's not going to make a big difference. And place in a cup of boiling water. So they recommend 1 tablespoon per cup. This might be a little bit strong, but you know, sometimes you just need some force. Sometimes you need some energy. And then you make your chocolate coconut green tea. So you're going to steep your tea about 5 minutes. Less if you don't want it quite as strong. A little bit more if you'd really like to get, you know, that little energy boost that you might need to get through, let's say, the last third of your day. We've got our strainer all set up. I've got a pretty fine mesh strainer here. The finer the strainer, the more of the particles, the more of all those little bits and pieces of the things you heard me read out are going to get strained out. Now I'm going to actually put this through twice, because as you can see, it's a little bit challenging. It does go kind of all over the place. But I got the majority of all the leaves and berries and things out. Now another great thing about this is you can actually reuse this same mixture once again, make another pot of tea. It's not going to be quite as strong. You could brew it a little bit longer to get the strength up, but you know, you just got more use out of that original cost. So I'm going to strain that tea one more time, just to get all those last little bits and pieces out. And as you can see, I'm using kind of the old school coffee pots. And even if you do get a little of those flakes, and depending on how fine your strainer is, you probably will, they're okay. They're the same things that are giving you all those other good little particles and all that good juice. and your digestive system will process it. It's not going to, cause you to grow a leaf for an arm, and you actually could turn into Leaf Man from Mega Man. But that's not actually going to happen. But if it does, hit me up. So our warrior tea is all set, and I'm going to show you a few of my favorite products that we're going to put into here that are going to make it just a little bit different. So I've got some chocolate, which is an agave cacao syrup. I got it originally thinking I wanted to get some like natural chocolate syrup to put on ice cream instead of using cocoa powder and corn syrup. And this is what I found, and it wasn't really what I was looking for ice cream, but I found other uses for it. So it has a very light kind of sweetness. It's almost like, agave has that much lighter, crisper taste. It's not quite as heavy as a sugar. So don't be expecting it to taste quite as bold as a dark chocolate candy. It's much more subtle, but it's still from cacao and from cocoa. So, it's a pretty good little element that you can add. So I'm using this while it's still hot, while our mix is still hot, so that all of the product will dissolve into the tea. So it becomes one homogeneous mixture instead of having all of the chocolate syrup basically sit at the bottom. The next product I'm going to use is a local raw honey. And I love this lid. Look at how this lid opens. That's old school. That is old school. So if you've never seen raw honey is actually, this is very interesting. Raw honey is regurgitated flower nectar. So after the bees have gone and collected the nectar from the flowers, they go back to the hive and they throw up the nectar inside of the hive. For some reason that is beyond me. I need to learn more about bees. But this is what the raw honey looks like. And it's very interesting because it's crystalline. As you can see, it doesn't flow like honey. And I'm just going to add that in there. Try to get that to dissolve. And if I need to, I can move my tea back onto the heat just to help my honey and that chocolate syrup dissolve a little bit. And this is something that we can drink hot, of course, or iced. We're going to do it iced style today, but if you're doing it hot, it might be really nice as like, I'm thinking like a winter drink, like right when you get in, when it's kind of cold outside, and you get inside, and just something to kind of warm up your throat on a kind of a brisk wintry day. The last thing I'm going to add into here is some coconut milk from Fresh and Easy. And this is the sweetened version. It says original, but original means sweetened because unsweetened is not called unoriginal. It's just called unsweetened. So what's good about using the sweetened version is it is sweetened with, I believe, dried cane syrup, which is a little bit different effect in terms of its metabolic processes in the glycemic index as how quickly it enters glucose in our bloodstream. So it's kind of, I don't want to say better isn't really the right word, it just has a less rapid, intense effect on our metabolism, on our body, than say just plain table sugar or especially high fructose corn syrup. So it's going to metabolize just a little bit differently, and not quite as differently as something like a fruit, which is fructose, which is actually going to be much lower glycemic than just a plain glucose. You might taste your tea and say, I like it, but it's not sweet enough for me. One thing you can do to sweeten it up a little bit without adding any additional sugars or even extra honey is you can get some dates and just soak them in water. And this is a Chef Kas original. And you're going to get almost a syrupy liquid that develops. You can see that this doesn't pour like water. It's closer, it's somewhere between a maple syrup and a water. And what's great is because it's just coming, all this sweetness is just coming from the dates, None of this is extracted from anywhere. And with foods in general, the less we can get them extracted, the less we can get them processed, the more that our body is going to extract and process, which is another way of saying digestion and nutrition. So when we have to do that, when our bodies have to work, we have a twofold process. We have a twofold advantage from that. One, it takes a little bit more work for our body to get the nutrients, so it takes more time. And number two, we extract more and better nutrients because they haven't been lost in the processing. So this is just one method you can do. See how you like it. If it works for you, awesome. If it doesn't work for you, we've got other options. Let's taste this now. Be careful not to burn your tongue. That's what the bear in the wood says, right? It's almost like a hot cocoa. Wow. Cool. I'm going to add a little bit more. And what we're going to do, in a very complicated culinary process, is put ice in a glass. And you may have your own technique for putting ice in a glass, but the old-fashioned French technique is to reach into the glass with 4 or 5 fingers into the ice and pick it up and put it into the glass. And it should make appropriate James Bond-like sounds. We have our ladle ready. Ladle this. Don't label this. At this point, labeling it will not really help you. Put a little bit more of this. Let's give it a sip. Once cooled, it's chill. This is Chef Kas. We just made some awesomeness.